are we off to?
We're going to a place which is quite important for me because it's a place where I was asked a question by a friend which seemed very bizarre at the time, which was, what is at the centre of your life? And at the time, I didn't really have an answer because I didn't believe that a life needed to have a centre and that it could just be made up of lots of different parts, all of which were important. So this is where I first started to think about those sorts of things, spiritual things.
Okay. So you said that you didn't think life should have a centre. Then what was your lifestyle like at the time?
Well, I'd been living a life which had no real limits, no real boundaries. I could have anything that I really wanted. There were no repercussions to anything that I was doing, and a lot of people would say that that's a good thing. But I ended up feeling very guilty and empty because of all of those things. I was asked the question in the first place by a Christian, what is at the centre of your life? And so immediately the question was loaded with that spiritual or Christian message. But I looked around me at all of my Christian friends in college and kind of had a sense of envy and anger at them at the same time, which was pretty much because they had that sense of fulfillment and that sense of happiness which I was looking for.
Yeah.
And I didn't know why I couldn't have it as well. After deciding that Christians were deluded and wrong, I decided that I would prove that to myself. Every night I would sit down and say a prayer. And I would ask God to get rid of the sense of guilt and emptiness that I was telling you about before.
Yeah.
And because he wasn't there, because he didn't exist, he wouldn't answer my prayer.
Yeah.
So I would therefore prove to myself, and presumably the rest of the world who I would tell about this amazing experiment, that God definitively does not exist. But to my surprise, I woke up one morning and all of that guilt and all of that emptiness were completely gone.
Wow.
And that's something which I had not been able to achieve any other way. This act of prayer was the only thing which healed those wounds inside. I really have an answer to the question that I was asked here, which is, what is at the centre of your life? And now I know for sure that it's Jesus Christ that's at the centre of my life.
So have you always been a Christian or interested in faith?
I used to go to church every Easter day and every Christmas, and I even got confirmed when I was about 13 or 14, and I really wanted to be a Christian and really wanted to know God, but I didn't take it very seriously and only really had it, sort of on the side of my life. It started to become important in my third year. I got a couple of new friends who I happened to be living with, and they explained how they went to church, and I thought, okay, well, sounds like an Anglican church, it can't be too wacky, I'll go along with them. And I had really different expectations to what I actually found. So I expected there to be a lot of old people, and it would be quite quiet, very traditional. And I was really surprised to see this church that was completely packed out with students and young people. I found that I just wanted to know God a lot more than I had done, and I wanted to pray to Him much more. And through my group's prayer requests, I really came to appreciate what kind of relationship I could have with God.
I always used to think that everyone went to heaven, but then I was chatting to a friend called Lisa one night, and she explained that actually Jesus does say that hell does exist. And I was really taken aback and really surprised, because I always thought that it was just really an invention of the church to make people believe. And I talked to one of my friends, Greg, about it the next day, and he said, how could God ever condemn anyone to hell? How is this even possible? And said, well, isn't it a miracle that anyone goes to heaven? And said, well, how can we ever be good enough? Because surely, however hard we try, we're always going to be bad people at the end of the day. And he explained how God gave His Son to die for us because Jesus was born perfect and lived a perfect life, that He took our punishment. I found it quite hard to place all my faith in God and just really and truly trust in Him. That sometimes it still feels quite stressful when I'm doing my degree, and I'm not sure what degree mark I'm actually going to come out with, which is a bit nerve-wracking. But I know that it's in God's plan.
I found out quite recently that my tutor had been praying and that I find inner peace, and it's amazing that her prayers come true and that I've come to know God.
What happened when you came to Oxford?
Well, I came to Oxford to study PPE, politics, philosophy, economics, and quite quickly I became academically insecure. I'd come from a school where I was one of the brightest, the highest achievers, but here I was surrounded by many other very clever people. I was also very career driven. I was searching for that perfect career that would satisfy me and fulfill me, because I guess when people had hurt me in the past, I'd always said, well, if I'm just more successful, if I'm in a powerful position when I grow up, you won't be able to hurt me. By now at university, most of us believe we've got it sorted, that we've got the answers to the big questions in life. Is there a God? Why are we here? What happens after we die? But as I looked into Christianity, I started to doubt my preconceptions.
So where are we going to take the photograph?
Well, I'd like to take the photo where I recommitted my life to God in Michaelmas of the last year.
Okay.
When I couldn't see any answers in what I was doing, when I wasn't fulfilled, I turned to a Christian friend who helped me remember the promises that God has for us. That no matter how far we venture away from Him, He's waiting for us and wants a relationship with us.
So, what actually happened at that moment in this room, and how does it make you feel now that we're back here?
Well, I was convicted of the need to admit the mistakes I'd done and just kind of give my life to God. So that was when I said, I've just got to pray this. I've just got to speak to God and say this to Him. So I knelt down on the floor, admitted the things I'd done wrong, and asked Him for forgiveness. And I guess that's all that happened. But that is really special to me because that marks the beginning of the journey that I've been on since then. I'm no longer searching for meaning and purpose, for I know that I have a purpose given to me by my Creator. This whole journey, the transformation of my heart and mind has been because of God, because He's been with me.